Hello, welcome Mimi to the show.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate you joining us on the buzz today. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. We got a little bit of snow in Ontario, a mid-April little snowstorm just to keep us on our toes, but we're doing pretty good. We're still locked down here, but let's hope there'll be better days ahead soon.
Yeah, well, it's sunny where I'm at, but our weather's supposed to change, so hopefully no snow for us in the forecast, but the sun will be changing to rain eventually. But
We got
welcome.
10 centimeters. I couldn't believe it.
Wow, 10 centimeters. Did you do anything for 420?
Oh yes, the usual. Tried some nice new products. Had some Zoom sessions with some people. Of course, we can't gather. This is the second 420 that we have not been able to. So there were lots of virtual events going on yesterday. So yes, lots of that. But hopefully next year we'll be able to gather and do it the right way.
Right, hopefully. Well, tell us a bit about Mimi Cannabis. Tell us about, the mission and the values that you hold and why you really wanted to hone in on the niche market of the baby boomers.
Well, because that's who I am. I mean, I've used cannabis 42 years. I think that with all of this new legislation and all of these new stores, and there's a lot of overwhelming stuff going on. And I think for people over 50, there needs to be somebody to help guide them through it, to help them identify with someone their own age. I certainly love educating anybody, but I worked as a cannabis educator for many years. But I really, really enjoy people who have never done it before or who've never stimulated their endocannabinoid system before or tried to with people like my age and older. It's usually they're looking to try to replace one of their medications. Most people 55 and over are on 4 to 5 medications. And we know that it's not a complete transformation or a plants over pills for that age. We know that people that age are taking lots of pharmaceuticals. But if we can eliminate one or two of them, and make them feel just as great. I think anti-inflammatory medicine is probably the first place a lot of people with arthritis and stuff like to go to that age. So my company helps people connect people with medical cannabis prescriptions. I have an online store. I help people get access and help them sort of maneuver their way around all this new legislation.
Right.
So that's what I do.
That's what I do, which is great because I find that the baby boomers, like you're my parents' age, and there's a lot of confusion. There's not a lot of resources, especially when it comes to like how do you choose your products? How do you understand the endocannabinoid system? How does this work in our body? So we need people, we need educators to go out there and teach. So I would probably think that that's probably one of your strengths of your companies. But what do you feel is one of the biggest strengths of your company or what you bring to the table?
I think one of the biggest strengths, definitely, of my company is the fact that I'm here to listen. I'm here to talk about it, because it's not just it's getting people more comfortable. Like for instance, I have people sometimes several times a week just reach out to me and ask me what the inside of a retail store looks like. That's how uncomfortable some people are.
Mhm.
So helping people understand that is definitely my company's strength. I certainly handpick products for my store that would help people with mobility issues, sight issues. I put a lot of thought um, into what I'm doing as far as targeting that market. Um, I also help a lot of the younger people in the industry. I help their parents. So a lot of people send their parents to me. They say, maybe if you speak to Mimi, you'll feel a little more comfortable. Like I said, I am kind of rare. I have used cannabis all of my life, basically 42 years,
Mhm.
used it medicinally for sure for all of those years, not knowing that until probably about 6 or 7 years ago when I started you know, really seeing the medical benefits of, especially going through menopause. I really saw the medical benefits. And I've sailed through just using THC and CBD, no hormone replacement therapy. So, yeah, just helping people understand. The older people have been dealt quite a stigma. We have to
Right.
turn that around somehow. We have to.
Definitely.
I mean,
We grew up in the time where it was just say no to drugs. And, that's that generation. You guys were the parents telling us just to say no to drugs. So now we have to reverse and we have to destigmatize and educate that actually cannabis can play a role when it comes to medications and deprescribing some of the anti-inflammatories that you spoke of. I'm curious, what was your experience like in menopause? If you're not too
oh,
candid to
I have no
share.
problem. Listen, I love talking about it because you know what? I was just like everybody else. I started getting the hot flashes. My period stopped, and it's like you automatically think, "Oh my goodness, my hormones are depleting. I need to replace them." I think that's probably the biggest misconception. And I was the same. I'm like, I went right to my doctor. I need hormone replacement therapy. But I had nothing but problems. I took it for a year. I had, lumps coming up. I had just issues, lots of weight gain, and then I kind of thought, maybe that is the wrong approach. Maybe we should be just letting Mother Nature do its thing.
Mhm.
And that's when I stopped hormone replacement therapy and went straight to one-to-one oils, equal amounts of CBD and THC. And I have to be honest, I mean, I've sailed through the rest of it. I've sailed through it. And
That's
I've never felt better. I feel young. I feel healthy. I feel great. And honestly, I think that that's kind of, it's, we have our mind trained that when we get to that age that we have to add something that's being taken away. And I don't think you necessarily do, but that's, like I said, I'm not I always disclaim I'm just an educator, and that's just been my personal experience with menopause. So I do have a lot of women that reach out and speak to me about what I've done, as opposed to taking HRT. So like I said, anyone out there who has any questions about that, I'm always willing to spend time and talk to anyone about that.
That's great. And I love how you say the disclaimer that, you're just an educator and they make sure that we go back to our general
I
practitioners,
shouldn't
family
say I'm
physicians.
just an educator. I've been educating medical cannabis now for 6 years. It's but I mean, I always just like to say that a lot of this is based on my own personal experience. But menopause, arthritis, definitely the top two, and of course, replacing. We need to get rid of pain medication, the addictive ones. But that's we know that as a
Yeah.
society, we know that.
Yeah, it plays a role for harms reduction. So there's multiple uses for cannabis, and it's great to see that you're really open and willing to share your experience with cannabis. Because I find that a lot of patients that have used it don't want to necessarily share their experience because they come from that stigma, that generation
Right.
of we don't want to talk about it. What if we get into trouble? But now that it's legal, we're more open and willing to share our experiences.
Oh, I don't think I could get by without my cannabis oil now. Like, I mean, it's just such a huge part of my being, and taking that and how it makes me feel every day. And I mean, like I said, I'm very much a balanced oil person. I like equal parts of THC and CBD. I like balanced flower. I like equal parts. I like balanced vape cartridges. I like everything nice and balanced, and it keeps me feeling just perfect. Now, don't get me wrong, high THC has its time and a place at night. um, I don't indulge in too much high THC in the day. I need to I need to work. I need to
Need
do
to be able
things,
to
but
focus and get work
but
done. But
balance is what it's all about for me. The balanced products for sure. And I highly recommend anybody 50 and over who's just starting, make sure you are using like balanced products, or maybe even like sometimes on good days, I even just use like a 1 in 4. Like, I mean, it's a quarter of THC as opposed to, you know what I mean?
1-to-1 ratio,
Um,
yeah. Trying to
yeah, you have to go low and slow. And then you're still functioning in the day. You still have to, well, lately we haven't had to drive or anything, so it's certainly much better. We're working from home, and I don't recommend anyone use THC and drive or anything like that. I worry that there's people my age and older that are new to this of over medicating, that are living alone. I don't think there's enough information out there as far as, they can't get the advice in the retail stores like you can from talking. I just think people over 50, even if they buy in the retail store, I believe they should be getting a prescription so that they get that education bit,
Right.
because we're all using it for something. It's not, most people over 50 aren't using it for recreational. They're using it for some type of
Some sort of
ailment.
medicinal issue, right? And that's
Yeah. I mean, or even just to soothe that ailment, you know what I mean? It's, but yes, I highly recommend though that people do that, because recreational is just that, recreational. You can ask a few questions, but you're not going to find out anything medical in the recreational store. I hope to see some changes to that over the years so that everyone is accommodated. Medical patients are still waiting for their cannabis in the mail, and that needs to be fixed. Now, there are some medical companies that are offering same-day delivery, thank goodness. So we are seeing it start to slowly, but there's no reason why a patient should have to wait or be limited on getting their cannabis because they're a patient.
right.
So all of, although yes, weed won, we got, we got our legalization. It's not perfect. There's still lots of things that have to be tweaked and fixed. And, there's a recent survey going out about growing, and they want, Health Canada wants the public's opinion on stuff like that. So we're going to be tweaking this Cannabis Act for a very long time. I hope it tweaks in the favor of the patient. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Right. No, I think, you've nailed it, where it's medicine. So why are we having to have it delivered through the mail, even though we do have, same day delivery? We need options. We need the accessibility where, the recreational store, they're not able to provide the educational services that your patient population needs. They want they have questions, they need answers, they want to know how to use it for their medical issues. And unless we've got the medical team and educators involved, it's still going to be a long uphill battle for us. So,
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, this brings me to my next question. It's like, what was the path that actually took you to this space and time right now? What brought you into cannabis? You've lived, you've learned, and you've done quite a bit in the past, but what brought you into the cannabis space specifically?
Well, it's really strange. My background is hospitality management, human resources, hotel, and I thought, the talk started about legalization, and my age, I was kind of like, will I have an opportunity to contribute to this industry before I retire? And will I take that jump to do so? And I pondered it for quite some time before I actually did it. Because I worked for a large hotel chain company for a very long time. And I did it, and I was over 50. So starting a whole new, but I knew that I had the basics because I'd used cannabis for 42 years. I've always had a passion for cannabis. So I knew I had a lot of and then of course I'm so trained in best practices from working in hotels and regimented industries. I just, I knew that I had the business acumen to try to bring it all together. The only thing that was really, I was worried about was my age, and I did it. I started my business. I worked for 2 other cannabis clinics prior to starting my own business. And then I thought, you know what? I want to work for myself. I want to do this my way. And
Right.
so that's basically how it all started. Many family members, you're starting a business over 50 and it's in the cannabis industry.
What do you think?
It trust me. But you know what? It was the best, most confident decision I've ever probably made in my life. So, and the most rewarding one, because I've really enjoyed it.
No, and that's lovely to hear that, you're willing to take a chance on yourself and look how far you've come with it. You pivoted from the hospitality industry into the cannabis sector, but you bring so much wealth and knowledge to it. So with that being said, what is your goal right now with the company? Are you hoping to grow, expand? Are you hoping to franchise out? What are you hoping?
Absolutely. I mean, I think things would have maybe been a little bit different for Mimi Cannabis if the pandemic hadn't hit. Like everyone, I'm still not 100% sure whether I want to open a retail space or not. But I certainly, like I said, my online store does quite well. I'm now doing wholesaling of most of my merchandise as well. And I'm kind of, starting to kind of go this down, you know what I mean? Like not retire, but to think about, but I mean, if I was going to open a retail store, I would probably go to a nice quiet place where they're needed. Because I'm seeing such an oversaturation in this particular area. I mean,
Yeah, so you opened up and now you're looking to retire.
Yes, I would like to, but what I wanted to do before the pandemic was the whole business plan behind Mimi Cannabis is, of course, my name is Michele and my nickname is Mimi, but Mimi is meant to mean you and your cannabis journey, how you have it. So my thoughts were, yes, I would like to sell cannabis, but more importantly, I wanted to open a education center that teaches people what they can do with this beautiful plant. And that was more what I was more focused on. And now I basically do all of that from home. I help people, I consult, I do all kinds of different things. But honestly, I'm still up in the air about a retail store. I still think there's a lot of work to be done for medical. I have a lot of work to do with PAC. And we can touch on that. People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done as far as, getting it right and all of that stuff. So I think that
getting it right, what would be some of the biggest challenges you had to overcome while pivoting into the cannabis sector?
Well, and it's not even necessarily, okay, for me, the biggest challenge was probably putting the word cannabis in my company name. That was the silliest thing I ever did. And I recommend to anyone out there, do not do that, because immediately you are vilified. You are doing something illegal. You are, and my site has never, all I've ever done is sold legal merchandise and helped people get prescriptions and done consulting. But with that name cannabis, it's very, very difficult. The struggles that we are seeing as entrepreneurs in cannabis, we're seeing banks turning us down. We're seeing payment processing companies turning us down. They don't want to process our payments. And this is now legal. So we have to fight for all these things. Right now we are in the trailblazing segment of this. So we need to blaze a few trails, get the banks on board, get the payment processors on board, let people let this be a legitimate free enterprise business. Because right now, if you're keeping people from not taking payments, that's not free enterprise in my books. If you're keeping people from not opening business bank accounts, that's not free enterprise in my books. Even the fact that the retail stores have to buy their cannabis first from the government, that's not free enterprise. If I owned a shoe store, I wouldn't have to buy my shoes from the government first.
Yeah. But so then how do you overcome all these barriers? Like if you can't be connected with a bank and you can't have the word cannabis, how does one do business then?
Do you want to know something? I've overcome almost all of them, but it's been a struggle. I do have a business bank account with a chartered bank in Canada. I had to fight for it, go for meetings. It's not, it's not easy. Payment processing is still very iffy. We have one payment processor basically in Canada that is cannabis friendly. So it's, it's time for what I find extremely interesting about it all is that I think in 5 years' time, those companies that are saying no now are going to be knocking down our doors. And I don't think they quite realize how cannabis people are like about being treated with stigma. So they'll be in for a big surprise in 5 years' time. So yeah, I think that it's legal and there's companies and organizations that have to get with it.
Yeah. So you had mentioned PAC. I take that something really close to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about what PAC is and how you're involved and how others can get involved?
PAC is the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada, and it's a group of 5 women who, during the pandemic and during lockdown, we started meeting regularly, and it turned into, oh wow! And now we are a legal nonprofit organization in Canada. So we just got through our incorporation and nonprofit status a few weeks ago. So what we are is we are trying to make the cannabis industry a better place. We are trying to help people get benefits. We are trying to help people get, resolution help, training. We plan on offering a huge membership for whether you just want to be a social member or a corporate member for your whole company. We are working with companies that aren't cannabis related that want to work with us and offer discounts for food items, oil changes, you name it. It'll be like almost like the Chamber of Commerce for cannabis. If you're a member of PAC, you'll be able to show your card on your phone and you're going to get a discount at umpteen different places. There are many businesses that want to be involved with the cannabis industry indirectly, and that's a great way for them to be involved indirectly, and to reap some of the rewards of because there's a lot of us, and why would your company not want to offer a discount for people who are part of this great organization that we're building right now?
Definitely. So how do we get in touch with the PAC? Do we just contact you or?
Yeah, www.peoplescannabis.com. We also have we're on Instagram. We are doing a series of town halls. We just finished up we're going on number 5, which is going to be advocacy, but we've done one on retail cannabis. We've done one on medical cannabis. We've done one on BIPOC and inclusion. We've done one on hemp and agriculture, and our next one is advocacy. But we could be adding a couple more to the series because we are seeing the need for a few more sessions as far as some things that are happening rather quickly in the cannabis industry.
Right.
So and it's just an open forum for people to come. We put a panel up of kind of experts from, and then we open up the floor. Basically, it's free. It's town hall style. You can ask questions. But yeah, it's really, really good. And then we should be rolling out our membership late probably 2021 for 2022. We will be rolling out membership.
So will this be like for a fee membership or will it be?
Yes, you'll have your choice whether you want to be just a social membership, which will give you access to discounts, all of our newsletters, discounts when we can start having events again. That's just people who just want to stay in touch with everything in the cannabis industry. That would be a social membership. The next level is going to be more for single people working in the cannabis industry, sole proprietors who like businesses like myself who don't have benefits. People will be able to get benefits for their families and for bud tenders and then the third level will be corporate. So say if a large corporate company wants to sign up all their members, basically all their employees, for benefits, we will do corporate membership as well. So that's basically the 3 tiers of the membership program, and we will be rolling it out very, very soon.
Super exciting. Looking forward to seeing what
It is. It is, and it's I think that we want to be able to help young entrepreneurs. We want to eventually have a mentorship program. We want to because we're building an industry from the ground up. So building an industry from the ground up, we need all of these things in place.
So, we talk about the industry and how we're building it from the ground up, but essentially we have 3 industries right now. We've got the recreational market, then we have our medical market, and then we have like our legacy market, the black market, gray market, call it what you want. So we've got these growing pains and we've got the mixing and mingling of these 3 markets. How do you foresee us paving our way forward and making this industry more robust and sustainable? Any thoughts and through your experience?
Well, I think a good way would be to make it more accessible for legacy market people to get into the legal game. It's expensive to micro, and like, you're looking at a lot of money to do that. Like, I would like to see where 5 people can go in on a facility and make their products, and it's all legal, and but for one person to do it for one product is very, very expensive. So I think that it just needs to be. I think we have to let everybody have skin in the game. Like, that's just the way it should be. But I also think that it's very important that, especially with my demographic, that people are using Health Canada approved products. I don't know. I like to know what I'm putting in my body. I think that if we could get maybe, testing and get a certain type of system to help these people bring their products to volition, I'm all for that. But the products have to be safe. They have to be safe for everybody.
And that's what legalization has done, is allowed for quality insurance, making sure what we're consuming is exactly what it states on the packaging.
Well, yes, and that's still yet to be determined as well, because there certainly has been some imperfections. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's been perfect, because it hasn't. But you know what? It's a plant. There's bound to be mold issues. There's bound to be, what I'm saying? It's a plant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's what it is. So, you're a leader in the industry. What are, in your opinion, some of the most attributes of successful leaders in this industry? And what tips do you have for, up and coming people that want to join the industry?
Oh, you need to lift other people up as well, because if you don't lift other people up, you won't be lifted. So you need to learn that everybody has their different opinions, and that we can listen. If the world all had the same opinion, or the cannabis industry all had the same opinion, guess what? It would be pretty boring. So we need to listen to each other. We need to accept one another, and we need to get along, more importantly. So I think there's a lot of, the world is watching. I've said that several times in several interviews. The world is watching how we do it. We are the first G7 country that is legal. So right. People are watching. Everything we do is going to go down in history. Everything we do. Every trail that we blaze is going to be, oh, hey, they got that done for us. Hey, we have no problems now with payment processors because of all those people. You know what I mean? All of these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I find there's a lot of, that has to stop. I think everybody just needs to work
and collaborate.
Yes, collaborate, work together, and enjoy each other's differences, learn from each other's differences. So maybe it's because I'm a little older. I just find that maybe I'm just at a point in my life where I think that it's a waste of time to be anything but.
Right. No, I think there's a lot of grass to go around. So, there's a lot of pieces to the pie. There's
absolutely. Listen, and if someone doesn't want, and I always I always love how Jackie Childs always says, if there's no room at their table, then build your own damn table, right?
Build it.
So
And make
that's
room for
right.
others. Make room for others at the table. There's a big
And make room for others. That's right. And that's what we've done with PAC. Anyone is welcome because I mean, let's face it, we're trying to build a nonprofit organization. So anybody out there who wants to volunteer a little bit of time and give us a hand, we're willing to anybody can come and help. This is what PAC is about. It's the People's Alliance of Cannabis.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think that, I think of other industries that were built from the ground up, and I'm sure there were a lot of growing pains and a lot of things like that. So I just think that we need to really concentrate and not sweat the small stuff so much, and just work together and
just collaborate.
Make it happen.
So you talk about lifting each other up. Can you maybe talk to any mentors or supporters that you've had along the way that you go to in times of need, or who have helped you come to where you're at today?
Oh, absolutely. I have lots of wonderful women in my life. I have Bridget from Marigold, who honestly, she's just, I mean, if I ever have any quandaries, that's who I've gone to. I have Christina Shea. She's the CEO of Blue Skies Life. They help me, people like that really smart, help me talk things through. Yes, and my own family too. Honestly, I have a very supportive husband. I'm very lucky. He's allowed me to go on this crazy entrepreneur ride that I've been on for the last sort of 2 years, 3 years. So, you have to have support from your family. But yes, some really wonderful women in the industry have been terrific to me. So I've been very lucky.
And then you pay it forward, like you're a mentor to many people as well. And
absolutely. If anyone, I help a lot of young entrepreneurs in the industry. I think it's really, really important. Some of them will reach out and ask me questions, and I will always take time to answer them. And it's just really important that we pay it forward. I hope that I leave that legacy behind, that I wanted that for this industry. So that's, if I do that, I'll be happy.
That's amazing. That's what we like to see, is, leaving a legacy behind so others can thrive ahead.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not as young maybe as everyone else, so maybe I'm a little more rushed about building that legacy, but you know what? I'm always here for everybody, it's like I said, but the young entrepreneurs, yes, I love. And like I said, before we started PAC, I was planning on rolling out something called Mimi's Mentors, and I was going to be doing this on my own. And now we all know that we all want to do mentorship at some point, so we are going to roll that into PAC for sure.
That's amazing. That'll be great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, as we wind down things, I'm wondering, how do you foresee the industry moving the next year, and where do you see yourself sitting a year from now? Like, hopefully COVID will be a thing of the past and we can get back on with our lives. How do you see things moving ahead?
I see things, I think there'll be some winners and I think there'll be some losers. I think there will be some, I honestly believe that there will be a lot of oversaturation of the market. I think that you will have to fight to prove your customer service, your loyalty to your customers, it's going to be like any other competitive business. The ones who treat their customers well and have what the customer needs and the price point that they want, they're the ones that are going to come out on top. I think that there needs to be more of a thought as to spreading these stores out a little bit more. And I also think that for the store owners, I think that there needs to be better profit margins for them. And I really hope that there will be. Because right now their profit margin on the cannabis that they buy is not terrific. a lot of them are selling a lot of other stuff to try to make up for that lack of profit margin on the cannabis. And that's, that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day, because I mean, it would be nice if the stores were able to buy directly from the growers, but that's, we'll see. We'll see. I think the government will eventually realize that they probably shouldn't be in the cannabis business, but we'll see what happens.
No, definitely. I think you nailed it with a couple of the points that you mentioned. And
I mean, I just, I just think that, if I own a restaurant and I sell more steak or more, meat than the guy down the street, I should get a better price on my meat than he does, right? You can't, everyone's paying the same price. Nobody's, there's no incentive, right?
Right.
I just think that when you have the middleman there as the government, we're going to have issues. And like I said at the beginning, when you asked me that question, I think some people will be able to keep their businesses open with those slim profit margins, but I don't think all of them will be able to.
So maybe like a survival of the fittest. We'll see who's able to,
Absolutely.
Some will have to sink, unfortunately, but
yep.
We can make we can make the community more robust, we can make it more inclusive, and we can thrive together by collaborating.
That's right. That's right. I think that, like I said, we'll see what happens if they fall in suit with, other provinces that are doing it a bit differently. We'll see what happens. But I think in the next 5 years, it should be interesting to see.
Yeah. And I'll leave you with one last question. Now that the space is opening up to psychedelics, how do you see that running in parallel with cannabis? Are we gonna see the same sort of hype that we saw with cannabis industry, or is it going to be more specific to the medicinal side of things?
I think honestly, and it should be more on the medicinal side of things. If the research that they're doing on using that instead of antidepressants is groundbreaking as we think it's going to be, wow. That's all I can say.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Definitely.
Like, wow. But yes, I think that definitely has to be medically controlled. I think it just like, we have special cannabis nurse practitioners and doctors who specialize in cannabinoid therapy. We need to be sending people to, the same thing for making sure that they're educated in that. I mean, honestly, but I mean, that is, that's groundbreaking. If we can get people off of antidepressants and have them using something that's much more plant-based and safer, that's a wow. And that's a huge win. That's right up there with the opiate crisis, or pretty close to it, to me. Those two things, those are big accomplishments if plant medicine can do that.
Right. So stay tuned. I think there's a whole array to look forward to in the plant-based space, and now we're starting.
Well, I plan on actually doing some stuff in regards to Alzheimer's in regards to that. So because I think my people my age and older want to know what it can do for them with memory issues and that type of stuff, not just depression. So I think that, again, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. I hope I get to see it all. I mean, that's my biggest wish for sure.
Well, I hope your wish comes true. And I do thank you today for joining me on The Buzz. It's been a pleasure having you today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really, really enjoyed it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.